Hello, welcome back to Madrona's Pulse Teachings. I'm Iris J, and we are chatting about the Gemini New Moon. This is happening depending where you are. It's either happening on the 26th or 27th of May. It's at 11:01 p.m. on the 26th Eastern Time, so it very well could be for you on the 27th or the 26th. You always want to adjust wherever you are in the globe. And I've got one message coming through with this new moon, and that is dream new dreams. It is time for us, for you to dream new dreams. So let's weave a little narrative with this new moon. I hope that you are doing well. This is happening right around 6 degrees of Gemini. So all new moons, we have got the sun and the moon together at 6 degrees of Gemini. And this is also a very particular new moon because this is happening a day-ish after Saturn enters Aries. So Saturn enters Aries, and then we have our Gemini new moon. Okay, and this is a very rich new moon because this new moon is conjunct Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, and it is talking strongly with Pluto, who is in Aquarius. So we have a trine with Pluto in Aquarius, who's at 3 degrees. And it is also talking with our energy that is getting stirred up in Aries, which is that we have Ceres, the Earth Mother, Neptune, and as of a day or so before this new moon, now Saturn. Okay, so we have a sextile between the new moon and Mercury, all in Gemini, and this energy that's going on in the very beginning degrees of Aries. So it is a potent new moon. It's also a powerful new moon because it is talking with outer planets. It is trining Pluto, who always brings a transformative push. And it is also trining Neptune, who's now entered into its very close dance with Saturn. Okay, they're going to move together through these first few degrees of Aries, these first few breaths really of their journey through Aries. And then they're going to station retrograde, and they're not going to have their exact conjunction, though they will get very close, but that's not going to come until February. So we are in a major process of rebirthing, restructuring, reimagining what life is actually about on this plane with Saturn and Neptune. And that energy is potent in talking to this Gemini new moon. Okay, so always with a new moon, we are being brought into a time that's asking us to get a little bit quiet within ourselves. It is the time of the dark moon. Now, it may be really important with this new moon to get quiet so that we can listen. So that we can listen. As I'm saying this, there is a hummingbird dancing right outside the window. I really hope that it comes around and you get to see, there it is, there it is. There's our messenger. And as I was talking about Mercury, the messenger of the gods, you know, because Gemini is energy, it is air energy, okay? So we had a very powerful Scorpio full moon in our last lunation cycle. Now we come into this Gemini new moon, which brings us into air energy. The sun, of course, is in Gemini. We're in Gemini season, and we have strong air and fire energy going on right now. So with this shift to air, you know, air is our ideas, it's how we think, it's how we express ourselves. This could also, Gemini season could be particularly welcomed in this particular moment with all that we have been journeying through, especially in the depths of our emotion with the Pisces energy that we've been in, that ocean out there. We've been in the cosmic ocean of psyche. And so we can come into some movement of our ideas. We can come into some expression. Gemini season, wonderful time for journaling practices, for picking up journaling practices, for setting intentions with journaling practices. This particular new moon, you know, sometimes it's a little bit challenging for Gemini to get quiet because Gemini, like that hummingbird, wants to be in the ideas. It wants to be thinking. It wants to be expressing. It wants to be having conversations that are stimulating. It's inspiration to create more ideas. And yet at the new moon, we are always being asked to get a little bit quiet. And this is very important because Mercury, firstly, is conjunct the new moon. So Mercury is in Gemini. The ruler of Gemini is here with our new moon. So as we get quiet, we could really actually receive some messages from our higher self, from that wisdom that comes when we can quiet this overtrained mind that thinks it needs to produce and produce and produce and understand and control and then weave a narrative and understand it all and make sense of it all. Quiet. And as we get that thinking mind quiet, we can receive more powerful messages. And those messages are more powerful because that Mercury, who's around 3 degrees of Gemini, that Mercury is in the strongest aspect. It is in the strongest aspect with Pluto in the trine. And it's also in a strong sextile with Neptune. And also, of course, Saturn and Ceres. Okay. So Ceres is at 3 degrees of Aries. So she is in that exact sextile with our Mercury. So not only are we receiving messages that may help us to understand where we're moving, how we're moving, just what's emerging. And again, that way of understanding, it's not to put it in a box and say, I control this. That's what a lot of us have been conditioned to do with thought in mind. Honestly, if we've just gone through any formal schooling and education and academic system, we get trained pretty strongly to put ideas into a box in a way that it's as if we control it. Okay? And we don't control it. The beauty of the critical thinking is an art form. It is beautiful. I fell in love with it when I was 19 years old and started taking really advanced philosophy classes. And it can be so beautiful. Is it always an art? Of course not. Right? But it can be. And so that happens, that art form comes when we don't try to control it, when we don't kind of apply what is a cognitively derived understanding of meaning that really emerged in the Enlightenment and is quite patriarchal in roots and is, of course, rooted into all of our ideologies of power over. And when we allow that creative, critical thinking process that Gemini is so skilled at to be embodied in a way that isn't trying to control, but is trying to discover, it's beautiful. And that Mercury with this new moon in Gemini is trining Pluto, sextiling Ceres, Neptune, and now Saturn. So there is deeply transformative energy coming through that Pluto. This is also about an empowering of your own self-expression. And empowering that this Pluto is retrograde now. This Pluto is helping us to reassess what the word authentic even means to us in this world, how it is shaping up every day, how structures are dissolving, how things that we took as always going to be there are dissolving. And what does authenticity mean in this particular moment? It's probably different than it meant 6 months ago. And so this Pluto retrograde, and again, Pluto takes us into our soul journey, our soul path. Yes, it's about this life, but it's about so much more than the stories that clinging, controlling mind gets stuck in. It's about soul deep embodiments. And here it's about what our authentic soul is discovering for itself. And we're at the very beginning of this Pluto stage. Okay, we're journeying for 20 years with Pluto in Aquarius. This is our retrograde that's really helping us to kind of get a little bit more comfortable with Pluto in Aquarius, ideally. And there is breakthrough energy with our own expression, thought. There is incredible opportunity for creativity with this new moon, and also for planting the seeds. New moons are always times of planting seeds. For planting the seeds, maybe for creative projects, maybe just for picking up a project of expression. It doesn't matter if that is journaling, poetry, art, dance, writing scientific prose, whatever the mode of expression, if there's something that you've been longing or desiring or thinking about picking back up, it's a wonderful time to set the intention for that and to let it happen in a new way. If there is something that you want to learn, if you want to jump into our Evolutionary and Embodied Astrology program, jump on in. There's my plug. It's going to be so much fun. Now I'm starting to think of how much fun it's going to be. I'm coming back, I'm bringing it back. But it's a wonderful time to set intentions for learning, for expanding your understanding with the spirit of discovery and also transformation for your own journey and self. Okay. And of course, that discovery is just emphasized because Neptune is talking to this new moon in its, like, Saturn just entered Aries. Saturn's just entered Aries. It's just started a new 30-year cycle around the zodiac. It is coming into this fire conjunction with Neptune, which is literally the beginning, the very beginning of restructuring. It's beautiful that it happens with this Gemini new moon, which is that kind of, in the smaller cycle, a new moon is always that new beginning within our kind of 2-week waxing and waning cycles of the moon that we work with. But this is pulling us into a much bigger cycle that is just beginning. And that Neptune is talking with Ceres, with the Earth Mother in fire. This is a rebirthing of the ultimate fire witch. This is power that comes through in a new embodiment of spirit of the Earth Mother, talking to Mercury, offering messages about ultimately the spiritual structures of your life being completely recast. Dream new dreams. Dream new dreams around your creativity, around how you want to express yourself, around how you want to show up with your voice. Maybe you're about to encounter a whole new way of using your voice that a younger version of you would just kind of sit in awe and say, look at them, you know, and there is also grace in this. This is not just using a voice. And, you know, sometimes we get taught that, like, using our voice is just about that really firm no and just being so strong. And while that is, there is always a time for that. This is also, you know, Neptune is bringing grace with the Earth Mother in a deeply empowered, intuitive way. This is about your primal flame. This is about a rebirth and a rediscovery of what nurtures yourself and how you want to express that. And this also could go really deep. We could be dreaming new dreams for our lives. We could be dreaming new dreams and visions of our lives with this new moon. It's wonderful to feel into that. It's also potentially bringing up energies because our outer planets are all working with us, and that Uranus is getting ready in a little bit of time to move into Gemini. And Uranus is going to be radicalizing our expression and voice and how our mind is working and what we're able to do with our mind and our communication. And so there's themes of that Uranus that's about to begin a new journey in a few months as we move in with Uranus into Gemini with this new moon as well. So the outer planets are all with us. They're all working with us. But there is transformative, other realmy energy that is just in the beginning of being birthed. And a new moon is such a wonderful time to just sink into that energy and to be really honest with ourselves. Gemini wants to be able to be honest. It wants to just explore ideas. Journal the heck out of this new moon if you want. Write poetry with this new moon. Be so brutally honest with yourself. Like, that Pluto is here to bring brutal honesty up to the surface in your own expression, in your own self-discovery, which is then going to translate itself into how you move through the world. It is so important to become witnesses of our own journey. And we can do that. Journaling is just an excellent process. Art making itself can be an excellent process, especially when we just develop a practice of breathing with the practice, of slowing down a little bit and witnessing what's emerging in the body. This is the nature of embodied expressive arts work. And this is also the nature of my astrology program. And when we do this, we become co-creating with the archetypes and with ourselves. And it's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous journey. And this new moon brings us into that. So enjoy dreaming new dreams, imagining dreaming new dreams. You know, regardless of where you are right now, Gemini is about the imagination. This is a Pluto trining and that Neptune series and Saturn sextiling. We are able to imagine. Oftentimes we have to be able to imagine dreams for ourselves before we can start embodying them. There's always going to be the unexpected mystery of life and synchronicity, and we never know who we're going to meet. We also need to be able to heal our own imaginations, and especially when we journey with a lot of trauma and we have been in a life where we've had to direct a lot of energy to survival. Our imagination and all of that creative energy goes into our survival. And so we are entering a new time. You are entering a new time. This Saturn is coming into Aries, conjunct Neptune. They're taking us into 2026. We're going back and forth. It's a long birth process. And something is over. Like it's over. It's still ending. We're in transition until 2026. But a way of life as you have known it is over for all of us. And with that usually comes grief and confusion, and fear is natural. And this new moon is also showing us that there is hope, and we can breathe into the imagination, and we can let it transform us, and we can dream new dreams. Okay, so with that, I am going to send out love as I am always doing, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.